All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you to the largest country in the world in terms of landmass and one of the most significant countries in the world when it comes to economics. It's Russia, as we're going to what used to be an Olympics hosting location, now the host of a famed Formula One track. It's Sochi. We are here with the XRL X3 series. I'm InsaneLeader13. I'm being joined in the commentary box once again by XRL Ozda. Ozda, it's great to have you back in the commentary box. It's been a little while.
Yeah, guys, it's been a little while here, but you know, I've missed commentating for you guys, and we're gonna get back to it. We're gonna be commentating some GT action. Usually with Russia in real life races, they don't produce too much, you know, good racing. But, you know, I found out with the virtual series that it does produce quite a lot of good stuff, so we'll see that over here today.
Yeah, indeed. I think we could be looking at some interesting strategies, interesting calls. One thing right off the bat to take note of, though, a slightly smaller field will be starting up qualifying. We may have 2 or 3 drivers who will show up between the end of qualifying and the start of the race, but we're only having 17 drivers start off qualifying, so only 2 drivers will not make it into Q2 right off the bat.
Alright, so here we go. This is a very technical track, so we've got to look out for invalidations, time penalties in the race, and stuff like that, so...
There we are, that's that.
I think the first car out is the McLaren.
Yeah, that's what seems to be the case here. I just realized I screwed up 1 second. I can tell it's been a little while. There are just small little things that are catching me out. Oh, here we are, and XRL Steel, he's going to be substituting as one of the Red Bull drivers. He is now on the way out. Ahead of him is one of the Haas machines. Yeah, it looks like we had McLaren, and it looks like one of the Alphas were the first ones out on the circuit. No, that was a Ferrari, actually, and that would be Smish. So already, our cars are coming into the second sector on this track right now. This is an interesting circuit, I'll admit. It feels a lot like a street course in some ways, and a lot like a traditional road course in others. It's very, very interesting, unique. It's got the runoffs in a lot of sections similar to what you would think of as a traditional road course that the FIA brings through Series 2, but there are a lot of sections here with 90-degree corners, very, very tight walls that turn around and make it feel like a street circuit, especially the very end of the lap. So
it's quite a nice circuit to drive, but obviously I did Dev yesterday and it was a real good experience. And yeah, it's quite a nice flowing track. Got a line of 90-degree corners, so you got to have that good rotation and a good exit to get a good lap. Now, for Jackson, he's going to be starting his hot lap now with I think that is Smish behind him.
per usual, just so that way you and the washers can get kind of a feel on what is like. We're gonna spin the lap on board with JLE Bend for a full lap here around Russia. Just quiet on our end. That's one lap on board and clean here with JLE Ben. Now, though, we're in a scenario where he is second on the timesheets, and it's Atwi who's currently at the top. XRL Steel in the Red Bull, he's gone ahead and gone up to fourth on the timesheets, 134.778. So now the question is, what could we be looking at when it comes to the end of the sessions of qualifying here? Possibly 132 flats, 131.5, something like that. Q1, typically we don't see a lot of really hard pushing by the drivers up near the front. Obviously, there's going to be a lot farther down the order. And then because of the way that the tire setup is decided on Q2, we don't see a lot of really good speed there. But it'll be interesting to see what kind of times we end up seeing taken off by the end here. Oh, and Retro has turned it around there. About halfway around the track in second 2. He is finally getting back underway. I don't see any damage on that car, but it looks like he looped it coming around one of those 90-degree corners.
Yeah, obviously I'm not really comparing that much to this league, but we did see some 132s and maybe even some 131s. Personally, I did do a 131, but yeah, we should see some very good times here. Obviously Q1 is not going to be full beams, it's going to be, just get a lap and see if I can get through to Q2. And then also when we get to Q3, we'll see the really good lap times. So, yeah, they're looking good so far. 4:33 seems to be the average-ish time for Q1, but we'll only get an average on everybody just a lap, if everybody does a lap. We still have 5 drivers who are in the pit lane that have not yet left the pits. Those are Constant Jet, Remisco, XRL Snake, XRL Herbie, and XRL Witch. Yeah, I would say I'm very close to XRL Whippy, and I do know that he doesn't really enjoy this track very much, so he'll want to go out mainly as late as possible so that he doesn't have to do other stuff. But yeah, and we actually have a returning person, XR Gusty. He was getting some X3 due to his lag, but he's now back and underway. So yeah, we have a few guys here who we need to know. Remixo, he used to be called XRL Rem. We also have Javelin, he used to be called XRL, I can't remember what his XRL name was. God damn. Anyway, Waldo with a 131.4, that's a good time from him. He'll be happy with that.
that blows away all my predictions for what we'd be seeing at Q3. If he was able to set a 131.4 now you have to wonder if potentially a 131.25 would be possible once they get to pole qualifying at the end of Q3.
Yeah, it could be possible. But I think the 2 racing points are going to be dominant here. Obviously, Cargo wants to extend his championship lead, so he's going to try and want to get up the field and do what he can do. But yeah, I think the 2 racing points are going to be pretty strong here. Maybe the 2 Alphas as well, but Smish in 5th with a 1:32.5. That's going to bring him and Ferrari into play as well, but I think the 2 racing points are going to be dominant here today.
No, you make a great point. The Ferrari team, which struggled extremely bad most of the season, suddenly came to life about the point they got to Monza, with Ferrari finishing 1-5 there. They weren't able to take home very many points at Singapore, but they suddenly, out of nowhere, seemed to have pulled a lot of pace out. So yeah, great runs from the Ferrari is very much in play for the future. And Herbie, on his outlap, ends up invalidating it right away, so that's really going to hurt him. Actually, no, that was his first flying lap. That wasn't his outlap, that was his first flying lap, so it's going to be rough. Roughly 9 minutes and a quarter left in qualifying session 1.
Yeah, so we're going to see most people out. Obviously, we do see most people out. I don't know, everybody that hasn't set a lap time is out now. Setting laps. Whippy, he's going to be really struggling. He's obviously, before I just really like this track. I haven't really seen Rem in any of the practice sessions, so I'm not really sure what he's going to be like. XRL Heavy, no, he's not that confident on the track. Snake, though, he seems to like this track, so we could see a good time from him, because it obviously really helps. If you like the track, then you're gonna do a little bit better than you people that don't really like the track. And yeah, let's see what these guys post as Rem. Oh, Rem invalidated. And, like,
yeah,
that's got to be the last sector.
Yeah, going through the last 4 corners, Rim was just not able to maximize the lines through these 90-degree corners. Now, typically, you'd think getting through a 90-degree corner would be very, very simplistic. There's really one single line, but that car is just not very well set up for it, and he nearly lost control, saved it, lost control, saved it about 3 different times, and ended up just absolutely hemorrhaging time before finally sliding off the circuit in the last corner and invalidating his lap. But this lap that he's on, though, is clean, so he will get one more shot with it, assuming that he still has fuel and ERS to the end of this lap.
Yeah, Snakey posted the 1:32.4, that puts him 5th. He's going to be happy with that time. He'll definitely get through to Q2. Obviously, Rem is on another lap if he can, which he's in hot lap ERS, so I'm guessing he is. Herbie, he's trying to set another time. He's actually behind Rem.
Whippy's invalidated his 2 laps in a row now.
Yeah, he's really not enjoying this track, so yeah, it'll be a long time before he gets a clean lap. But to be fair to him, if he just makes it not slow but not quick, not pushing too hard, then it can maybe get through Q2.
Wow, I'm sorry to interrupt you there. Rim had a really crazy moment there in the 3rd to last corner. Oh, and Careless Jackson has dropped out, has retired from the session. He sees no need in continuing to push on, and now we have 2 racing points at the front, and right behind them, 2 McLarens, 3rd and 4th on the timesheets now.
Yes, it's got a bit of McLaren into play. Obviously, Graham is a reserve, but it still will contribute to what's it called? Constructors. So the reserves cannot have any drivers' points. So this could be really good for McLaren here, but it's still for now. No, I just lost my train of thought. Racing point 1-2.
Oh, turbo. It looks like a lot of the drivers who are in the very back of the lineups, right back of the sheets right now, XRL Herbie, XRL Steel, XRL Turbo, XRL Whippy, their cars aren't really off through large sections of the track, but the thing is that they're just not getting the times they need, or the proper lines they need, I mean, through 90-degree corners, and it's causing those entire cars to turn around on them. I know in general, Formula 1 cars right now are the largest they've ever been, but most importantly is that in length from nose to tail, they are the longest they have ever been. And it leads to some very, very interesting setups when it comes to balance of the cars going through the corners. If that balance isn't perfectly set up, it becomes extremely, extremely hard to fix it. We're seeing the four drivers at the bottom of the field really, really struggling. To put things in perspective, the gap between Fritz and Herbie, 13th and 14th, is roughly 0.65 seconds. So well over half a second, just the four drivers at the bottom of the sheets were really, really struggling. Whippy, the worst, is he has yet to even be able to set a time. He went 2 laps in a row and invalidated all of them, just not being able to keep it on the track, spending so much time just trying to save the car. I would honestly be surprised if they can't get their problems fixed with the cars before the race. They may not even be able to finish the race. I would hate to imagine having to save the car 4 or 5 times in a row at the same 4 corners every lap for an entire hour-long race. This sounds disgusting.
Yeah, and we have people like higher up going out on laps. I don't really get the point of that because, well, 1, you're just wasting tyres, and 2, you're through anyway, so there's no point trying to get further up. You might as well do that in Q3. But hey, it's a decision. Now we're getting to the.
They may be trying to experiment with alternate setups.
Oh yeah, but Pat Firme is on, so you can't really alter the setup after you put it on. Whipping that he's on the out lap, so let's hope he can start a lap time pretty soon. Turbo's invalidated. Fritz, he is really struggling because he just bought a Fanatec wheel, and he's just getting used to it. I think he's only G920 for this race, unless he's stuck with a Fanatec. Not too sure, but he's going to try and get up to those places.
Right now, Fritz is in a decent-looking position. His current lap, he's already, well, at the end of Sector 1 at least, he was 3/10 up on his prior time, and at the end of Sector 2 here, he's half a second up. So he's definitely improving as long as he can keep the car under control in these very, very difficult 90-degree corners that make up the 3rd and final sector of the racetrack.
Yeah, with that off-camber corner, it catches a lot of people out because, you know, you can brake really late through the lane if they're turning really early, and people don't really do that. And Fritz goes up to 10.
What an improvement!
Yeah, that's a really nice improvement.
Very nice.
But yeah, most accidents will happen in Sector 3, Turn 1, Turn 2, no, Turn 2 and Turn 3. And I think that's it. Maybe the bridge corner, I don't know what turn that is. But yeah, you definitely got to look out for the penalties in the race, and also one first lap collision as well.
So I do have a question about the game. I'm sure I've asked this before, but I don't remember the answer. If you end up running off the circuit, but you lose time in the process, is the game still going to penalize you for that?
Well, it depends.
Like it's like a very blatant loss of time. Like you ran wide through a corner, you end up losing like half a second. Is the game going to try and penalize or warn you for that?
It's Codemasters, you don't really know, but probably it won't. But if you would be bad, it's not last
Turbo.
Corner. He's not really going to get a time, I don't think, or it's going to be very close. Anyway, yeah, it may warn you or even give you a penalty for it, but I'm not too sure, because it's Codemasters, you don't really know what the hell is going to go on with them. So yeah, if you're avoiding an incident, then probably not, but if there's like a car and he pushes you off, then probably not. But if you like brake too late and then you cut the corner, and I'm not too sure, but yeah, just try not to, you can, with this strat you need to push really hard, but if you push hard you usually get penalties, so it's
a balancing act.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really hard. Like, it's like, oh, I need to push, but I'm gonna get penalties for it. So, yeah, it's a bit of a predicament with this track in general.
One thing that's absolutely going to be a predicament is the Red Bull team. It looks like Steele is going to be able to make it in to the next round, but Whippy, 20 seconds left on the clock. He needs to get to that start-finish line before then, and he still hasn't set a lap. There's no guarantee that even if he sets a lap, he'll make it into Q2. It just goes to show you like how badly they've been struggling. 9 seconds left on the clock. 7, 6, and he's retiring. He's given up on any chance to make it into Q2. So Turbo is not able to make it into Q2, and neither will Whippy. Huge change of fortunes for Whippy, who won 2 weeks ago at Singapore, and now he won't even make it out of Q1 here at Sochi.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate for Whippy here. Steele, he's trying to improve on his time, but I don't think he will. It looks like a kind of a slow lap, slower than what he's already got. Yeah, it's very lucky for Whippy, else he really does not like this track. He did alright in Dev yesterday, to be fair, but obviously maybe with the massive pressure, he's you know, not really done very well. Constant though, he's in a nice clean lap. It looks to be pretty good.
Yeah, he's up nearly half a second. This will be good. Oh, and he validated it.
Yeah, everyone's validated right now, so I'm just going to go back to the pits and we'll get under with Q2.
So yeah, there's your final setup. And for right now, the Racing Points and the McLarens are showing a lot of strength, while the Alfa Romeos a lot more split, and the very slow gradual collapse of the Mercedes team continues as XRL Snake is only able to get 6 as his teammate does not show up for qualifying here.
Alrighty, I think we're waiting for people to get back in the garage and we'll get going again. Alrighty, let's go! Yeah, I'm expecting some guys in Q3 to get at least 131s. I mean, I did a 131.2 and I'm a dev driver. I'm not saying that I couldn't be an X3, but yeah, I don't think we'll see any guys getting the 130s because that is insanely quick. That is like X2, X1 pace. So I don't think we'll see any guys getting the 30s, but I think we'll at least get a 31 from a couple people.
Real quickly, as I'm looking at the point standings right now, once again, we'll look at the manufacturer/team standings first. 10th is the Haas F1 team. They have 61 points, and just 2 ahead of them is the Ferrari team with 63. Renault has 74 points. Williams has 85. The AlphaTauri Honda team has 116, and the Red Bull team has 128. McLaren F1 has 151 points. Mercedes AMG Formula 1 has 250. The Racing Point team has 266, and Alfa Romeo has 308. It's not locked up yet, but the Alfa Romeo team is well on their way to potentially locking up the Manufacturers' Championship. When it comes to Drivers' Championship, though, things are different. Herbie, Boothie, and Constant Jet are all tied at the bottom with no points. Tino Farah has earned 1 single point this entire season thus far. And then you have Fratters. Fratters has 4 points in the AlphaTauri, tied with Stumpy, who is in the McLaren. Patriot in the Red Bull, who is not able to show up today. He's being substituted for by Steele. But Patriot only has 6 points. XXX has 19 points in the Mercedes. XRL Turbo has 19 points in the Ferrari. XRL Smish, who has won for the Ferrari at Monza, has 30 points. Schold in the Williams has 41 points. WCD Hubert has 42. Hubert is not showing up today. Hubert is being replaced by Gusty. Carlos Jackson has 44 points in the McLaren. XRL Whippy has 49 points in his Red Bull. Fritz has 54 points in the AlphaTauri. Find Waldo has 65 points. XRL Snake has 82 points. Audui has 85 points. And then the fight for the championship is very much between RetroXE and XRL Cargo. Cargo has 135 points, 7 out from Retro.
Looks like a very close battle. For points, give me a sec. Um, I'm gonna look at some dudes as well. Yeah.
Carlos Jackson was the first driver to go ahead and jump out onto the circuit here in this session. And right off the bat, a very even split between hard and, I mean not hard, but medium and soft tire compounds. You were in the Dev League race yesterday. What do you think is the optimal tire strategy going in here at Sochi?
Well, I did a soft medium. You don't touch the hards around it unless you get lap 1 damage as a lap 1 safety car. But I still even wouldn't advise the hards as they are horrible. Like, imagine horrible and make that 10 times worse. That's what the hards feel like. I don't know why. It's just maybe the track layout that is making it like that. But yeah, so I did a soft medium. It didn't really work for me because I got wing damage on the safety car and also spun as well. But the medium to soft does work really well because obviously you start on the slower tyre, but then when the medium runners, oh no, sorry, the soft runners with mediums, you can extend a little bit longer and then go on the soft, have that advantage of track position maybe, and even have the advantage of these soft tyres. Because I'm going to tell you now, the fresh soft tyres are really quick. Like, even if you're slow in the game, they will make you at least a second or half a second quicker. So yeah, it's an amazing difference between the mediums and the softs.
So yeah, obviously you wouldn't want to start the race on the softs then, because unless you were in like the front row, because starting the race on the softs would basically mean that you're sacrificing your fastest times on the track by fighting in traffic. So yeah, that does seem like a relatively good strategy call, at least to run mediums to softs.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the fact that if you have race pace, I would go for the softs, because then if you can get ahead of the medium runners, you can slow them down, you can make more degradation on their tires by holding them up. But obviously it's the 1:34.001, and Heavy beats that time, so obviously Retro didn't have a really good time there. Transmission beats Heavy, but yeah, if you have race pace, I would definitely advise you go into soft tyres, but if you don't, start on the mediums and extend a little bit longer than the soft runners, and then you'll be alright because you'll have the softs at the end.
Currently riding on board with XRL Fritz. Fritz took a long time, but eventually he put on a very, very solid lap in Q1. Now it's Q2 here. He's one of the drivers who are at least starting this session on the medium tire setup. He's coming down to the final set of corners right now. As long as he can keep that car under control, he may be setting up for a respectable, not amazing, but a respectable time at the line. 1:33.799, that's good enough for third. As Cargo, he's the first driver to pull a lap down the softs, 1:32.518. Now for Romeo.
Alrighty, who've we got near? That is so good to see he's validated. Let's go to his teammate who's also validated.
Coming up.
We've got a constant jet. He made fun of me yesterday, and he was friendly banter. But yeah, me and Riffy, we had a bet. This was like a week before the race, and I said to Riffy, I bet you 25 quid that I win the race and 50 quid that I get a podium. And he's like, alright fine, I'll take it. Yeah, he just had a little joke about that, but he got 8 for 1:33.991. Bottom of the time sheets for now, but we've been in Q2. If you're not in the top 10 for Q3, you can just, if you set your time on the mediums obviously, you can just jump on the softs and try and get through. Obviously that will compromise tyre strategy, but as I said before, medium to soft, soft to medium, it works anyway, so it just depends on your driving style you'll set up. And how you manage your tyres, really.
8.5 minutes left in the session. We still have 6 drivers to have cut down times in general. So wait, do the XRL officials allow you guys to do bets on how you perform in the races, or is that just a friendly thing? But between
it was just a friendly thing. It was like,
okay.
So it wasn't gonna happen anyway. But I said, because I did a party with him in the race, and I was like, P10, and I was like, actually no, I'm gonna retract that bet. But yeah, we only have a little joke. It was not actually real. Solo, please don't shoot me. But yeah, it was only a little bit of fun. And yeah, I didn't even get to play him anyway. I got I think I got 10th, which was horrible. But anyway, we're not going to talk about me. We're going to talk about these guys. So. Jabella, he is coming around, he's found a few corners, that's his lap on the stuff like compound. What's he going to do now? It's going to be a nice time, 32.3. That puts him on pole right now.
Boothie is really struggling once again here under these medium tire compounds. He's run 2 laps, he's on his 3rd lap now, and every lap has been invalidated. He's just having nothing but struggle trying to get a good time down. Misco, XRL Snake, and Fine Waldo are all in the process of setting what will be their first laps right now.
Yeah, I think Fine Waldo would do pretty good on those mediums. You know, I was in a practice session with him and Ashley, it's Ashley, isn't it? And them two, if they were to be a team, they would be so quick. I find that Fire Models actually quicker than me in race pace, and I was like, holy moly, macaroni and cheese. But yeah, comes across the line now, nearly invalidates there, but goes 4 for 132.8. That is the quickest of the medium runners, beats his teammate by 200 attempts. I don't think Roger will be very happy with that, but it's only Q2, so it doesn't really matter.
Rim sets time good enough to bring him up into 6, but Gelvin is absolutely making great. Like he's doing a good job here on the top of the timesheets for the moment. 6 minutes left in the session. Only 5 drivers are still running softs, and I've got to feel real bad for XRL Herbie. He's one of the drivers who are on the softs. I think he's swapping the softs, actually, as is Constant Jet. But they're trying to swap for softs. They're basically in that position where they are willing to sacrifice tire strategy for potential of having a good start. We've seen a lot of times, and it's not just an X3 thing, we see it in X2 also, and Dev, where you do not want to be starting midfield. The risk of getting caught up in someone else's mess and having to pit early is so massive that it can ruin your race. That even if you have a good tire strategy, if you're starting about anywhere from 8th on back, there's definitely a strong recommendation to try and just throw your strategy out the window, just get a good, better starting position. Avoiding that first lap carnage that is almost inevitable at a track like this with very narrow technical sections is going to be absolutely imperative.
Yeah, it's not even a turn, but you know, F1 calls it turn 1. That little kink that is going to catch a lot of people out. You know, we have a few sister leagues, so ARL, there was a massive crash there. Well, safety car. There's one in Dev as well, where LTD Davey got absolutely slammed into the wall. So yeah, turn 1, no, lap 1, turn 2, which is the little chicane, is going to be a really big spot for people who are a bit too aggressive and you get wing damage, and there's going to be people flying everywhere, you know, doing a Magello, probably. But yeah, it's going to be interesting but also kind of scary for the guys who's on midfield, because everyone's really close together. I think people went 3 wide on the first lap. It's like, you don't really need to be that aggressive, you can just slot in behind someone and get him when doors is open or whatever. So yeah, it's going to be scary for the midfield for the restart and also go down to turn 1 and turn 2.
XRL Herbie is one of the drivers who are out there running the softs. We're now at the point in Q2 here where most of the drivers have thrown out the medium tire setup and are going for the softs. And for XRL Snake and XRL Smish, right now they're in the top 10, but if any of the drivers below them set better times on the softs, it's going to ruin their entire races. And for Find Waldo, Retroxy, and Rim, there may be a little bit of threat of them even getting knocked out of the top 10 as well. Not a massive one for Waldo and Retro, but for Rim at least there is a possibility, and Rim actually is going to leapfrog Retro as I say that. So yeah, for championship contender Retro, he really needs to find a way to improve on the times.
Sorry to put you off there. Insane. Herbie, he looked to have such a good lap to get him into Q3, and he validated it on the last, not the last corner, sorry, the uphill corner thing. I don't know what turn it is, but yeah. And from a driver's perspective as well, obviously, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, float my boat here, but I was one of the quickest drivers in Dev qualifying yesterday. You know, you've got, I don't know whether this helps, but I'm on the wheel, and you know, I know Herbie is on the controller, he's at the back, and of course it's on the controller, I don't know about Gusty or Goofy, but you've got to be really smooth with this track, because, you know, going through, like, one of those 90-degree corners, like you said, it's kind of hard. With a controller player, if you, like, have a little twitch and, like, you try to save it, obviously with controller, you do, like this, like that, it's going to be really hard for you to get a decent lapping if you're validating because of that unsmoothness that controller players have. I'm not knocking controller players, but I'm just saying, like, it's going to be very difficult for them because this track and next track, which is Suzuka, that's going to be even harder for them, I would assume. It's going to be really difficult for them. So, yeah, I just feel like, you know, to be quick at this track, you've got to really be aggressive with the curves and be very aware of grip. Because there's a few places where you can really have a bad crash, and you've also got to be aware of when you put the power down as well.
Interesting note, you know, thank you for that information on like how the difference can be between controller setup. And there we are, Boothie finally sets a time, and it's good enough for 5th on the timesheets, but XRL Smish has retired. He didn't even make it to the top 10, and he retired. He realizes there's no point in continuing to push with only 30 seconds left in the session, so Smish is not going to make it. Gusty, Herbie, Snake, and Steel all need to find something to happen. Retro is not going to feel confident right now. The gap between Retro and Steel right now, 9th and 11th, is only 3/10 at the moment. Atwi is on an out lap. Actually, he's just begun a lap, so Atwi has a chance of possibly leapfrogging over Retro. Steel is still out on the track, but he's invalidated his current lap, and he's not going to make it by in time. Snake is on a lap as well, and he's already a certain amount up, although it's not like he's going to leapfrog Retro. Then you have Herbie, who's invalidated his current lap, as is Gusty. So unless Snake pulls out a monster lap and Atwi overtakes Retro, Retro will make it into Q3. Barely, but he will make it. It all comes down to if Snake can pull out a monster lap or not here.
Yeah, Snake needs to really pull his finger out to get into Q10. What? I just looked at 10th and went Q10.
Q10? Wow! So are we just to the point now where we eliminate like 2 cars every session?
Yeah. Anyway, right, sorry. Alright, I can tell I haven't done this in a while. Q3, there we go. Yeah, next to a couple of months are allowed to get through to Q3. So, oh no, he didn't make it. Yeah, he didn't make it.
Yeah, he did not make it. And no one else will either, so yeah, right now, yeah, but Atwi's already locked into the top 10, so assuming he doesn't bin it and total the car here, he's automatically into the next session. So for Retro, he played the game really tight. He's one of the few drivers who's maintained the medium tire compounds, as is his teammate Find Waldo and Rim. If they can avoid trouble at the start and they both can pull off some good qualifying laps, the Racing Point team is setting themselves up very well for the race itself.
Yeah, it's
and Atwi's actually abandoned his lap.
Yeah, because
So in fact, everyone has abandoned their lap or have finished whatever lap they're in the middle of. So Snake is still on the track, but I'm pretty sure it's his AI controlling the car. We are basically concluded qualifying session 2 here.
Yeah, everyone's in the pit or on a lap. Well, no, the AI takes over and then actually goes over if you're on the lap. So yeah, that is Q2 over. So I'll be measuring mix. So Fritz, Fine Motor, BB, Constant Jet, he put out at that time. Killer Jackson, Cargo, and Jabelland. That's not rude by the way, that's his name.
Oh no, like you were saying, we're looking at the 5 drivers here who did not make it in. XRL Steel and the Red Bull, Snake and the Mercedes, as Mercedes turns in their worst qualifying run this entire season. XRL Swish in the Ferrari, XRL Herbie in the Renault, and XRL Gusty in the Haas. Those all will not make it into the next round, so absolutely horrible, horrible run for them. But great job by the Williams team. At the end of Q2, they have the highest average with coming home first and fourth. I'll be interested to see if either of them can pull that same kind of result out going into Q3 now. And again, Q3, very, very big, very important. It's the pole itself, obviously, but even if you can't get the pole, any position that you can get is going to be extremely important. And with how long the run is from the start-finish line down into the actual first braking corner, you could be inside or outside, and with a good run, you can still get a good run. So, yeah, any position you can get is going to be ideal. It's not going to be like classic Suzuka where you want to start odd number or even number depending on where the grid lines up. You have enough room on this track here to potentially move over into a better line. Anyways, Otsui, Gelbin, Boothly, Retro, Careless Jackson, Constant Jet, Fritz, Remisco, Waldo, and Cargo are all out. And I want to give something real quickly to the McLaren drivers. Both Remisco, I'm just going to keep calling him Remisco. Even though it's not the proper way to pronounce his name, it's a lot easier to say. Remisco and Careless Jackson both got into Q3 by virtue of keeping their noses clean, setting their very good times early on in the session, and they were both the earliest to retire in Q1 and Q2. On one hand, that means they have a little bit less familiarity with the track with these setups, but it's been enough to get them into Q3. I think they definitely have potential to fight with the racing points for the pole position here.
Yeah, it's going to be very close between these 4 drivers, obviously, even though Maturity is a race winner. So, yeah, it's going to be very close and very...
About half the field is currently out onto the circuit right now trying to warm up. 12-minute session, but realistically the fun starts at the earliest at about 9 minutes and 45 seconds in, simply because of the amount of time it takes to get out of the pits and set up your warm-up lap. It's realistically closer to a 10-minute session. This might just be my American sensibilities talking. This honestly does not feel like a very good track. That, like, the first 2 sectors are decent. I do not like that 3rd sector at all. It reminds me of the very first part of Singapore, but without anything that made Singapore interesting, and with a really stupid going uphill corner. I would hate to be one of the drivers out there actually trying to run here today.
Yeah, Sector 3 is very technical, so part of the track. Probably one of the hardest sectors there is. Sector 2 is kind of hard, but you know, it's able to keep it. So, yeah, Sector 3 is going to be one of the hardest sectors for the drivers today. But yeah, we'll just have to see and see what goes down in the race.
Rim, Constant Jet, Gelbin, and Boothie all have yet to leave pit lane. Otsui is on an out lap right now, and Careless Jackson, who is on that long backstretch run down to start Sector 3, assuming he doesn't invalidate the lap, he will be the first driver to set the time in the session. 105.250 at the end of Sector 2.
see what kill shots we can do here. He's had... Oh! Fritz just died! Fritz just spinned it! Oh no! That is not good.
There is nothing left on the front of that car. Jarvis Jackson 132.162. Thankfully, there's no one coming up, so they will be able to clear off Fritz's car before it gets too late. But Fritz, who barely made it by the skin of his teeth when it comes to time, at least into Q2, and then made it into Q3, is relegated to a 10th place position as he will not be able to set a full lap here. Boothie still has yet to leave pit lane. There he is. He's about to come out now, and he is out. Retro and Cargo both have now set times, but both of their times are slower at the moment than Careless Jackson's. And Waldo has invalidated his current lap. He's also very low on fuel, though, so... This is Atui, one of your championship contenders, entering that long, slightly bent back straightaway here. Got the DRS zone open. And at the end of sector 2, the time he has at the moment, 104.976, not nearly as Careless Jackson putting down earlier. Sorry, I apologize for that. Ottawa did set a time, though, and it was a time good enough for 131.914. Retro is now at the top, though, with a 131.662. Those aren't the fastest times we've seen thus far. I'm curious to see how much more time can be taken off. Only 4 drivers have set times thus far, and we are at 6 minutes in the session, although it looks like Yale Bend is going to be the next driver to set a time here. He's coming around that final corner, 132. He does set time, 132.922, not really in competition for that pole position, and neither is Constant Jet. So Boothie and Remisco still have to set times, and Fine Waldo is still in the pit lane. For Boothie, it took him a long time just to be able to set a single lap time in Q2. He did it at the skin of his teeth, but he did eventually do it. He needs to be able to do it a little bit sooner this time. It was only about 5.5 minutes left in the session, but he had a purple sector 1, so things are looking respectable for him at the moment. Remisco now up to 4th on the timesheets, 132.051. Now, of note, for Atui, who's invalidated his current lap, Retro is one of 3 drivers, along with his teammate Fine Waldo, who were able to set their times and get into Q3 on the medium tire competition. So they'll be starting on the mediums rather than the softs. If they can start up in the front on the mediums, they can, and assuming no one gets by them, they can run off for a very, very long period of time at the front and not have to worry about anyone else. It would be an interesting strategy, but that's what they're looking at. A potential starting at the front with the longest tire compound right now. Boothie comes across the line. He sets a time that's good enough for 5th, 132.065. Right now, no one is touching Retro's time at the moment. This means that everyone except Fine Waldo has set a time, and Waldo is possibly the only driver here that we could see who will have a time comparable to Retro here. Yeah. This is what we call technical difficulties. Fine Waldo is about to finish up his outlap, and Retro is preparing to set another one. literally no one seems to be able to touch Retro's time at the moment. So this could be looking like a potential 1-2 setup for the Racing Point team. And they're both starting on the mediums. Boothie 10 seconds slower across the line. So obviously that was not a flying lap. He's going to try again for it right here, though. See if maybe he can improve. Carlos Jackson, he's on another outlap right now, trying to get those tires warmed up as he's in Sector 3 here. The driver behind him on track. The driver in front of him on track is Retro, who has invalidated his current lap, although he is an outlap, and the driver behind Carlos Jackson is Fine Waldo, who is trying to set up for a flyer. He was at 104 at the end, the Sector 2. So Carlos Jackson and Rim have been a little bit faster than the first two sectors, but the Racing Points seem to make up all that time in Sector 3 for the moment. Woo! 131.202. That beats out his teammate by nearly half a second. Absolutely outstanding drive there. Carlos Jackson, he's up on his time, but not by a massive amount. He's only up by 500ths, and frankly, he needs to figure out a way to be up by 8/10 if he wants to contend for that pole position right now. Retro has invalidated his current lap. And so has Otway. Rim is going to have one chance to put down a flying lap as well. Looks like it's going to be good, but how good? 131.818, so it's an improvement, but he's still behind the two Racing Points. He will have time for one more lap, assuming that the fuel of the ERS will hold up on him. Rim is on one flyer, but he's down on his time right now by 2/10. It's not looking very good for the Renault's chances to take those top spots. And Otway, he is coming around. He will have one chance to set a time and try and break up that monopoly that Racing Point has on the front row. Yeah, sorry about that. I mean, I got the right engine manufacturer at least, but... Oh. And he turns it! He totals the car! Well, it's after the line, but he has totaled the car, and that's going to be very interesting for Constant. Yo, Constant Jet's just gone ahead and jumped into the pits. But Rim is going to come around the line. Will they be able to move that car in time? Rim did improve, but only by 1/1000th of a second. That's not really going to mean anything. Boothie, that car is completely destroyed. Here comes Retro. He's a good chunk up, but he's also invalidated that lap. Fine Waldo looks like he's going to be able to take home this pole, assuming Carlos Jackson's not going to improve. Carlos Jackson gets second. But it's not going to be enough to get the pole position. It looks like Fine Waldo is going to be your pole setter. Don't look now. Otway, not necessarily fine for the pole, but Otway was up about 3/10. Otway might be able to crack the top four. Coming across the line, he invalidates destroys at the last lap. In the last corner on the last lap, he invalidates his time. Go ahead, feel free. Alright, well, that's the end here of our qualifying sessions. Very interesting. Boofy got really lucky that his car was totaled after he crossed the line, so he will be able to maintain his qualifying position. Because that car was absolutely destroyed. I imagine they'll try and grab him and get him back in here before they get underway with the race, so. So what you're telling me is XRL Ozda for X1 next season. Racing Point came very, very close to locking out that front row. Ended up getting broken up by the McLaren team, though, at the end. And then Otwi is in the mix also. The top five all are very, very interesting scenario. We obviously have a championship battle there between Retro and Otwi, but there's also the manufacturer team battle, and then just the McLaren's just trying to make something happen. They've had good runs throughout the year, but being able to take home the victories today against championship contenders would be great, just like it was for Whippy when he won our last race at Singapore. I'll also go ahead and say on the topic of Whippy, it's not just like the wind just kind of dropped out of the sky for him. He needed to fight and get some good strategy to be up there. And he basically, it was him against 5 other drivers going for it at the end, between trying to manage time penalties, trying to keep up with other drivers who were well ahead but had massive time penalties. He had 2 championship contenders fighting between themselves and right on his tail. It was honestly one of the most impressive runs we've ever seen. So are they not going to be able to get Boothie back into the race, I wonder? Jackson, holy moly, that run. Oh, and there's a big crash. And that's Rim. And the entire field's getting caught up. There's 5 cars involved, 6, 7 cars. And the entire field absolutely decimated right at the start. Both of the Haas machines, the Ferrari. Fritz is destroyed again. Booty is out of it. Remisco is out of it. The pace car is gonna get involved. The pace car gets involved again. It's like Monaco all over again. Whippy's gonna have to pit, so he's gonna lose most of those positions he's gained. Dusty's gonna have to pit as well. There's damage on that car. Otwi, who started up near the front, there's no front wing on that car, so he'll have no choice but to pit as well. Fratters, I'm trying to see if there's any damage on his machine. It doesn't look like it. Herbie's clear and clean out of there. XRL Smish got out of there with significant front wing damage. XRL Snake is in a scenario where he also will have to pit, I think, for damage. Well, no, actually, no, the front wing is there, but yeah, the field's still going to be shaken up for a while because a lot of drivers are going to have to pit here. But a massive turn 1, lap 1 accident where drivers who started in the second and third row both veered right into the outside wall and then crossed right back into the track, and there was literally nowhere for the rest of the field to go. It was basically a case of getting lucky when it came to avoiding those incidents. And then the other thing of note, though, is that this could have massive championship implications when it comes down to... One second. But yeah, I'm going to look real quickly at the standings here. And again, when it comes to the points, it's Retro Ixie versus XRL Cargo. Now, Retro still has his teammate, Fine Waldo, out on the track with him. Otwi is dropped down the order, and he's going to be running hard to the end of the race. But Cargo, who's the other contending driver for championship, Cargo needs to figure out some way to get by 2 racing points, and he needs to do it quickly because he's on the soft tires compared to the mediums that the 2 racing points are on. And then Careless Jackson, his teammate is now out of the race. He's leading, but his teammate is gone and cannot give him any backup today. So... Atui is coming back into the pits to serve a drive-through penalty by the looks of it. Smish is repairing, no, Smish is swapping over the hard tire compounds. So 2 of the Ferrari, actually 3 Ferrari engine cars are trapped in the back now. In fact, of the last 5 cars on the track, 4 of them are Ferrari powered right now. So they better hope that the engine they have is, that the engine that they have is very, very efficient at getting them back up to the field. And we're looking at 5-second penalties for Yelbin, Cargo, Steel, and Gussie. So for Cargo, one of your championship contenders, having that 5-second penalty on top of being behind Retro on the track right now, it's not looking very good for his championship hopes. He needs to have some real good fortune happen if anything's going to turn around for him here today. I mean, it's Codemasters. I've seen it where drivers, they come to the pits and the game doesn't serve it for them, so. Yeah, I do not have any confidence or faith in EA at all whatsoever. No, absolutely not. No, I honestly think that EA is probably the worst game corporation out there. It's either them or Activision, so. And Atui's actually swapped back to the medium tire compounds. That's interesting. So Smish is now the only one in the hards. And we are getting word that safety car will be in this lap. So Carlos Jackson needs to hold off 2 very ferocious racing points behind him as they come down to the green flag here. Once again, at Sochi. Single file restart, and it's a rolling start, so hopefully that means it will be a little bit cleaner going into turn 1. Racing points, and they're in the wall again! And it's the same thing all over again! And there you are, once more! Retro, humongous accident! Herb is involved! It's all over the entire track! All over again! That's another Ferrari! The Red Bulls are involved! The same thing has happened 2 laps in a row now! Not just will it bring Cargo into the championship contention, Cargo is second on the track now! The racing points did not get going whatsoever. Carlos Jackson had a very good run, but neither Waldo or Retro had a good start. JL Ben made a move on the inside, but the line that JL Ben took meant that he was going to exit wider. There was nowhere for JL Ben to go. There was nowhere for Retro to go, and the 2 of them went head-on into the outside wall, and just like what happened on the first lap, they bounced all the way across the track in front of the entire field. I mean, we've not even had a full kilometer of racing distance, though, so it's less an amazing race and more just amazing luck, considering that we're 5 laps into the race and already 5 cars are completely out of this event. Not yet. DRS probably won't open for another 2 laps or so. Also, note, Snake, Steel, Gusty, Whippy, and Otwee, they're all in a little bit of a struggle amongst themselves, but they're all on medium tire compounds. Okay, for a moment I thought I saw a car pull off, and Gale Ben now already has a 3-second time penalty for track violation, so very, very bad for that Williams machine right now. Whippy is trying to make a run on Gusty, but he has Otwee behind him, and now with DRS fully available, this will get really interesting. There's a train of about 4 cars from 9th to 6th, all in a little fight there. Smish has hard tire compounds. You said earlier, hards are significantly slower here at Sochi, but Smish will be in a position where he can run on those tire compounds to the end of the race, in theory, so... And that was right in front of the field. There were 4 cars, well, 3 cars that all had to swerve to avoid him. Gusty got extremely lucky there that no one ended up hitting him. That would have not only been another yellow flag, but it would have easily destroyed his race. He was turned 180 degrees opposite to the rest of the field there. Also, don't look now. Cargo is within DRS striking zone of Careless Jackson. He's going to try and bring the fight right to that McLaren. Otwee's making a dive on Whippy. Not able to make it pull it off, but he's right there. He's right under that rear wing. This is a high downforce section. He looks on the outside. Now Whippy's car looks still okay, but Whippy went off the circuit. Well, no, there is damage on the Whippy's wing, and Smish is going to get by as well now. Something else we want to talk about once more, Careless Jackson, about 8/10 ahead of Cargo. Cargo has the DRS open as they're coming down to turn 2 here. Cargo's been able to get right under Careless Jackson's rear wing, but has not been able to do anything beyond that, though. A little bit farther back, Constance Jet and XRL Snake are having a little fight of their own for the 3rd and 4th positions, about 6 seconds down the line from the leaders. Cargo, who is setting himself up to potentially win, or not win, but take the championship points lead at the end of this race, running second behind Carlos Jackson right now. He needs to maximize his run through those final corners just a little bit better. He's too far back. No, he will still have DRS on Carlos Jackson, but he's losing a chunk of time to Carlos Jackson in Sector 3 because they're all 90-degree corners. So he's losing a lot of time to him and is actually gradually falling off the back of Carlos Jackson. At this point, the DRS zones are the only reason why he's even within striking distance, and Snake has gotten by Constant Jet. He's jumped into the pits and he swapped onto the medium tire compounds. He's finally repairing that wing damage that has promised so much bad fortune for him this race. Fine Waldo has closed on to the back of XRL Turbo, so Waldo, the only remaining racing point in the field, trying to salvage some points for that team after they started 1-3, and now they're running 10th in DNF right now. Turbo runs off the circuit, and now there's the fight for Ernest for 9th and 10th positions. Turbo's having a lot of rough time getting through these 90-degree corners, and it's leaving the door open for Waldo to strike on him in a lot of different areas, and Waldo's going to have the DRS on that Ferrari coming onto the main straight and through turn 1. He still dived under the braking zone, though. Christ. They are. Yes, they are. He's going to make the move on the inside. Will Turbo let it stick? Yeah, Turbo has no choice. He has to let it stick. He can't keep up. No, Turbo's fighting back. He's not fighting back well enough, though. Move Waldo up into the 9th position now. Looks like Turbo is very gradually dropping off the back of Waldo now, so that battle seems to be over. But when it comes to the situation between Cargo and Jackson, Cargo has to think big picture, needs to think championship. If he can get that win, obviously that would be very important, but with his championship rival, Retro, out of the race, 14, absolutely no way he's going to earn points today. Cargo just needs to keep that car clean and still finish top 3. He already has a 5-second penalty. He doesn't want to add more penalties to that right now. It might just be better for him to just hang on to the DRS zone of Carlos Jackson. Come in, serve the penalty. once he finally does swap tires and then just run as long as he can. Realistically, Cargo just needs to stay with Jackson, so when he serves his penalty, he doesn't lose time to XRL Snake or XRL Steel, the drivers in third and fourth behind him, and both of our leaders are coming in paint at the same time right now, it seems. Your mic just died. Oh, Ottawi is going at it against the Red Bull of Steel. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but Ottawi sent it on Steel, made the pass, but messed up, though, in turn 1, and now Steel is right there in a position to possibly make something happen when they get onto that long back straightaway, if he can stay within DRS range. So this is interesting. Smish is... Oh, I'm sorry, no, never mind, ignore me. But Cargo still has the penalty on him. No, it's a different penalty, apparently. Cargo has a different penalty. It's a different penalty. He only has a 3-second penalty. Okay, I thought it was still the same 5-second penalty he started with. It looks like he had to be served. So now Cargo is on Steel and is going to have to try and figure out a way by him sooner rather than later. He's making it side by side. Very close to making contact, but Cargo will get by Steel without too much of an issue. Now Cargo has his teammate Ottawi ahead of him. He can probably run DRS off of Ottawi for a little bit. And then, once Ottawi inevitably does pit, adds to Snake, Cargo will be back in the top 3. Again, Ottawi is still on a set of tires that, well, he didn't start the race with. He's been running on for a little while. He will have to pit and swap tires at some point in this event, so... Well, he's on the medium tires right now. If I had to guess, Snake is probably going to try and extend this as long as he can so he can jump on softs late in the race and try and go for the fastest in-race lap time. The field's relatively spread out for the most part. There are some battles of a sort that can go on, but realistically the field's pretty spread out. It's not a whole lot of likelihood that we'll have a lot of accidents due to cars making contact with each other. So, if you can just make those mediums last a long time, get out there on softs and try and there's a lot of clean air on the track right now with only 13 cars still on the track. Fighting for a potential fastest clean lap is very much within the realm of possibility for Snake. Oh, and Smish has gotten by Steel. Steel has wing damage. Steel has damage to the wing, apparently, so that's probably one of the reasons why he was so slow there. It's a very technical set of corners there through, I guess you'd call it turns 2 and 3, but those are very relatively technical and high downforce corners, and he's lost one of those wing end plates The way these Formula One cars are set up nowadays, the way they've been set up for several years, you need those cars to be in pretty much perfect condition. Constant Jet right underneath Steele, really Steele. You're fine. Here comes Constant Jet. He's gonna make a dive bomb on Steele. How hard will Steele defend? Constant Jet actually pulls out of it at the last minute. He doesn't commit too hard to the move, so Constant Jet will be behind Steele for a little bit longer. But neither Red Bull is in a very good position today. Even though neither of them got knocked out in either of those two early big accidents, both of them have suffered damage outside of it, and it is hurting their ability to contend for points. Whippy is currently sitting outside of the points paying positions, and Steele is going to probably have to pit sooner rather than later to repair that wing damage. And the longer he's staying out again. The longer Steele stays out, the more and more time he's going to lose overall. It's basically 12 and a half laps, yeah. Like I said, he's trying to extend those mediums as long as he can so he can just jump on softs to the very end and run softs to the very end of the race. That's what he's doing. And your mic is dead again. But anyways, I do want to take note, though, of one Snake does inevitably pit out of the top spots. Careless Jackson and XRL Cargo were your two leaders earlier, but Cargo, he has a penalty on him now, and he served the penalty when he pitted earlier. So he's currently 8 seconds, roughly 8 seconds and some change behind Careless Jackson on track, and then has a penalty while Jackson doesn't have a penalty. Right now, Careless Jackson is smooth sailing. As long as there's not a full course yellow safety car, Careless Jackson basically has this race won. Dusty's pitting, that's fine. Of note, though, a little bit farther back, Delbin is slowly making his way up through the field. He is catching Whippy. Delbin's on harder tire compounds and is actually running down Whippy, who's on the medium, so that could be interesting. Whippy may lose his chance of earning points today just because Delbin is running him down slowly yet surely. have a battle for 5th going on. Constant Jet has caught Smish. Nope. No, the DRS was too good. It's very clear that for Smish, at least, Smish realizes that once the leaders pit, because he's on the hard tire compounds, he's going to be fighting for points. As long as he stays in DRS zone of the drivers ahead of him, he may, and as I say that, Smish is apparently abandoning the strategy, and he's coming in to change tires, I'm guessing. So, never mind. I, myself, would have committed to the hards to the end, but he must have figured that he was losing so much time and pace that's useless. But sadly, that means that Smish is more likely not going to be able to take any points at the end of this race here. He's gonna have to pit before the race is over, though. That's the thing. Ottawi is finally making his pit stop. So I do want to go ahead and make this note. Snake and Ottawi are in their own little intense battle on the points. There's only 3 points between them. They're in Ottawi's favor going into this race. Snake, if he can make those softs last to the end, Ottawi's just put on softs now. Snake will finish ahead of Ottawi by 2 spots, and it should put Snake ahead of Ottawi for 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. So while the team, Mercedes team overall, have absolutely collapsed, and with only 1 Mercedes driver running today, that's really holding true. That driver who is running today, Snake, seems to be having one of the best runs that Mercedes has seen for a long time. He's trying to get by Constant Jet here. Also, a little bit farther back, JL Bend is still trying to see what he can do to XRL Whippy ahead of him, but he has Smish putting pressure on him. The Ferrari of Smish is surging back. He's still in the points main positions, and once more, whoa! Smish nearly into the wall, though. You can't say that Ferrari's not trying to knock down all the walls to get by the Williams ahead of him. I've been muted this entire time, curses. Because I literally just said what you said, and I'm like, Alistair, did you not hear me? And I was muted the entire time like a dumbass. He's got the DRS. He might be able to do it this time. But yeah, once he gets by him, he needs to run from him as fast as he can to make contact. Smish, if they finish where they are right now, Smish would drop all the way to 10, so Smish would only earn 1 point. Well, actually, no, it would be a little less than that, because the actual gap between Smish and Gusty is actually 9 seconds. So, yeah, Smish right now would actually finish 8th, actually. Actually, Smish would finish 8th, because although he has more time penalty against him than Gusty and Jailbin and Gusty are far enough back that they wouldn't actually be able to overtake Smish. So yeah, right now, Smish is only fighting Whippy. Of note, though, Constant Jet's on 10-lap more mediums, Waldo is on hard, so Waldo's probably has less time, in a sense, per lap, but Constant Jet, those tires are going to wear out very fast. Waldo, as long as he just stays consistent and steady, I think Waldo's going to hold on to that 4th position. 4th is not what the Racing Point team was looking for after qualifying 1st and 3rd, but, after what happened, they're going to have no choice but to be happy with it. Whippy now just got another penalty, so that is going to swing things even more in the favor of Smish back there in the battle for 7th on back. Also of note, Snake, he's on the medium tire compounds. If he can get within 3 seconds of Cargo, he would actually beat Cargo for the 2nd position on the track. There's still about 4.5 laps left in the race, and those stops could start dying on him, but Cargo's not exactly running away from Snake, so it's very, very possible that Snake will actually end up leapfrogging Cargo when it comes to positions at the end of this event, by virtue of Cargo having a penalty and Snake not. Also, Waldo now has a penalty against him for time track violation. And the wing is gone on that car. Also, note, XRL Steel is behind Gelbin, as is Turbo and Fratters, but Steel might end up getting back into the points paying position once Gelbin goes ahead and pits to put on a new front wing, because there's no front wing on that Williams right now, like, at all. And safety issue as well. looking at about 3.5 laps before the end of the race, and the gap is 6.3 seconds. And it doesn't look like there's any damage on Careless Jackson's car. So yeah, as long as Jackson doesn't end up bending it and totaling that car, this race is still absolutely going to go in his favor. Ottawee and Constant Jet are in a little bit of a fight there, as Ottawee is going to sneak by Constant Jet. Constant Jet has 3 seconds less time penalty than Ottawee, so if Constant Jet can just hold on to the back of Ottawee, he will still be ahead of him. That's Fratters, yeah, it's Fratters laying the leaders by. Of note, Snake is still hovering around that 3-second gap behind Cargo. Cargo has 3-second time penalty, Snake does not. So if Snake can be within 3 seconds of Cargo at the line, Snake will leapfrog Cargo for second on the grid. We're at 2 laps to go now. We're going to have another fight for position. Ottawee is catching Waldo and catching Waldo fast. Yes, he is. Well, he's just trying to get around lap traffic of Fratters. He has DRS and will get by him without too much of an issue. Fratters will actually slow down the straight, so that way he won't be an issue. The gap between second and third is still hovering around 3 seconds. So move about 2/10 larger than 2/10 less than that, but it's hovering around that. So this last lap in the battle for second and third is very much alive and kicking. Ottawee has another 3-second time penalty now, so that's not going to help Ottawee whatsoever. Well, no, Carlos Jackson's pretty much coming across the line right about now. Congratulations to his first victory. Ooh, not enough. Jets coming to sixth. He'll get ninth. And that would be the last of the points-paying drivers. Assuming that he's far enough ahead of Turbo, which I believe he will be, so... And yes, he is. So yeah, so both Red Bulls end up having more than enough points. I mean, not points, more than enough time in their favor, so both Red Bulls will take home points today. So very good run by them. And Smith, good run, bringing home points for Ferrari. And then, like you said, Constant Jet, very first points of the entire season. And when it comes down to the championship battle, the points leader knocked out in a restart accident, and the second driver in points finishes second. Absolutely crazy day when it comes to championship implications. But we're going to try and talk to our race winner, Carlos Jackson, here, after finally taking home a victory. It's worth a try. I don't, one second. Trying to see if I can get Carlos Jackson in here. Congratulations on your win. What do you have to say? Include your audio. Felicitati. I hope I said that right. Alright, well, there's the word from your race winner, Carlos Jackson, in a very, very chaotic race from X3 at Russia. Honestly, one of the most chaotic races we've seen in a long time, but most of the accidents, most of the chaos was relegated to the first 5 laps, the initial race's start, and the initial restart, so... that was nuts, and I do have to wonder, though, looking back at it, I know this is going to be a harsh thing to say, but I kind of wonder how this track could be considered FIA Grade 1 when you have that turn 1 right there, high speed with a wall right there, it doesn't seem very safe, but FIA Grade 1 is more than just a safety rating anyway, so that does need to be said. FIA Grade 1 also has a lot to do with accommodations for teams, track personnel, safety, and a lot of other stuff, but still, very interesting thing. I've not really paid attention to races associated before. There's a lot of the incidents today I don't even think were even driver problems. There just seemed like a lot of issues with just the track in general, just not being very conducive to decent racing, but... Yep. Anyways, that's going to be it from us here, XRL X3. We have run at Sochi next week. I believe we're not taking a break. It's where you go right to Suzuka next week. Yep. Yep, we'll see you week's time at Suzuka. In about an hour and some change on the other Extreme Racing League channel, you'll be able to catch the X2 drivers as they get running at Sochi. That could be hopefully a slightly cleaner race, to say the least. I encourage you to look at that. I believe it will be XRL Herbie who will be broadcasting that race. Anyways, we'll see you later. Sayonara.